dining room of the Meridian, one of Chicago's most prestigious restaurants. At 32, he had built Ashford Technologies from a college dorm room idea into an $80 million empire. He had addressed conferences, negotiated with Fortune 500 companies, and revolutionized cybersecurity protocols used by governments worldwide. But sitting here waiting for a woman he had never met, he felt like a nervous teenager. His business partner Grant Morrison had insisted on arranging this date. "Veronica Hayes is perfect for you," Grant had said repeatedly. Harvard Law, partner at her firm by 30. Brilliant mind. She is exactly the kind of woman you need. What Grant meant, Julian knew, was that Veronica was the kind of woman who might overlook the wheelchair. The thought made Julian's jaw tighten. He'd been paralyzed from the waist down for 7 years now, since a diving accident during a vacation in Costa Rica had changed everything. He had learned to navigate his new reality, to build a life that was full and meaningful, despite the limitations. But dating remained complicated in ways that had nothing to do with accessibility. The door opened, and Julian straightened instinctively. Veronica Hayes walked in, and he could see immediately why Grant had been so enthusiastic. She was striking, with sharp features, perfectly styled auburn hair, and a charcoal designer suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her confidence filled the room as she scanned the space with calculating eyes. Then those eyes landed on his wheelchair, and Julian saw the exact moment everything changed. Her professional smile froze. Her steps faltered. The warmth drained from her expression, replaced by something between shock and poorly concealed disgust. "Julian," she asked, her voice climbing half an octave. "That is me," Julian replied, extending his hand with practiced ease. "Veronica, I presume? It is a pleasure to meet you." She stared at his hand for a long, uncomfortable moment before giving it the briefest possible shake, as if afraid prolonged contact might somehow transfer his condition to her. She sat down across from him, but Julian noticed how she positioned her chair slightly farther from the table than necessary. "Maintaining maximum distance? Grant didn't mention that. You... ... Veronica began, gesturing vaguely toward his wheelchair. "Use a wheelchair?" Julian finished for her, keeping his tone neutral. No, he probably thought it would not matter. Apparently, he was optimistic. "It is just surprising," Veronica said quickly, too quickly. "That is all." The waiter arrived to take their orders, providing a brief respite from the tension. Julian ordered the restaurant's signature salmon. Veronica requested a salad, her voice clipped and distracted. As soon as the waiter left, the awkward silence returned. Heavier than before, Julian tried to engage her in conversation, asking about her work at the law firm. Her recent cases, her interests outside the office. Veronica answered in monosyllables, checking her phone constantly, her body language screaming her desire to be anywhere else. Every question Julian asked was met with minimal response. Every attempt at humor fell flat. 20 excruciating minutes passed. Then Veronica set down her water glass with more force than necessary and leaned forward. "Look," she said, her voice low, but not quite low enough. "I appreciate that Grant thought this was a good idea, but let us be honest here. I have a certain image to maintain. I attend galas, charity functions, corporate events. I need a partner who can stand beside me at those events. Someone who fits the lifestyle." Julian felt the familiar burn of humiliation in his chest, but he kept his expression carefully neutral. "I see, and someone in a wheelchair does not fit that image." "It is not personal," Veronica continued, as if that made it better. "It is just practical. I mean, think about it. The logistics alone would be complicated, and people would stare. They would ask questions. I did not work this hard to build my reputation just to become known as the woman who dates the guy in the wheelchair. It would be a distraction from my career." Nearby tables had begun to notice the rising tension. Julian could feel eyes turning toward them, curiosity and pity in equal measure. He wanted to disappear, to wheel himself out of this restaurant and never look back. But pride kept him seated, kept his spine straight despite the crushing weight of her words.
"Wait, so what you are saying,"
Julian said quietly, "is that my disability makes me unworthy of being seen with you in public." "I am saying I have standards," Veronica replied. standing abruptly and gathering her designer purse. And I am sorry, but you do not meet them. I am sure there is someone out there who would be willing to take on a project like you, but I am not interested in being anyone's nurse or charity case. She said the last words loudly enough that several nearby diners openly turned to stare. Julian felt his face burning, humiliation washing over him in waves. He had experienced discrimination before, had dealt with thoughtless comments and architectural barriers and patronizing attitudes. But this public rejection, this casual cruelty delivered in a room full of witnesses, cut deeper than he wanted to admit. Veronica walked out without another word, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. Julian sat frozen at the table, acutely aware of every eye on him, every whispered comment. The waiter approached hesitantly, clearly unsure what to do. "Sir, I am so sorry. Would you like me to cancel the orders?" "No," Julian said, his voice coming out rougher than intended. "Just bring me the wine list. The expensive one." As the waiter hurried away, Julian closed his eyes and tried to steady his breathing. This was why he avoided dating. This was why he threw himself into work, surrounded himself with the familiar safety of code and algorithms and business, deals that did not care about his physical limitations. Every time he tried to let someone in, every time he hoped things might be different, reality came crashing back with painful clarity. "Excuse me," a soft voice said beside him. Julian opened his eyes to find a young woman standing next to his table. She wore the black and white uniform of the Meridian's waitstaff, her dark blonde hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. But what struck him most were her eyes, deep brown and currently blazing with barely contained fury. "Yes," Julian managed. "I am Alina," she said, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. "And I need you to know that woman who just left is the most horrible person I have ever seen walk through these doors. I have worked here for 3 years. So that is saying something." Julian blinked, surprised out of his misery. "Thank you, but you do not have to. ... "Yes, I do," Alina interrupted, glancing around quickly before pulling out the chair Veronica had vacated and sitting down. "Because what just happened was wrong. Completely, absolutely wrong. And you deserve to know that not everyone in this world is blind, stupid, or soulless." "I appreciate the sentiment," Julian said. "But your manager is going to notice you sitting with a customer." "Let him notice," Alina said with a fierce determination that made Julian's lips twitch despite everything. "Some things are more important than following arbitrary rules. And right now, making sure you do not leave here thinking you deserve that treatment is more important than my job. You could really get fired for this," Julian warned. "Then I will get fired for doing the right thing," Alina replied. "Now, you ordered the salmon, correct? When it arrives, I am going to share this table with you and have a proper conversation. Because that woman did not deserve even 1 minute of your time. And you deserve to finish your evening with someone who has the basic decency to see you as a human being." For the first time since Veronica had walked in, Julian felt something other than humiliation. He felt seen. Not pitied, not patronized, but genuinely seen by someone who had just put her livelihood on the line to defend a complete stranger. "Why are you doing this?" he asked softly. Elena's fierce expression softened into something gentler. "Because my little sister Sophie has cerebral palsy. I have spent my entire life watching people treat her like she is less than human because of her physical challenges. And I will never ever stand by and watch someone be dehumanized like that. Not on my watch. Not ever." Julian felt an unfamiliar tightness in his throat. "Your sister is lucky to have you." "I am lucky to have her," Alina corrected. "She taught me what really matters in this world. And it is not designer clothes or corporate ladders or maintaining some perfect image. It is kindness, empathy, and having the courage to stand up for what is right." The manager of the Meridian approached their table, his expression stern. "Miss Carter, what are you doing?" Alina looked up at him without flinching. "I am finishing a conversation, Mr. Peterson. I will be back to work in a moment." "This is highly inappropriate," Mr. Peterson said. "So is what happened here tonight," Alina replied firmly. "And I chose to address that inappropriateness rather than ignore it. If that costs me my job, then so be it." Mr. Peterson looked between Alina and Julian, clearly torn between enforcing restaurant policy and avoiding a scene. Finally, he sighed. "The gentleman has not complained. I will give you 10 minutes."